But most of them are just like, don't delete anything, just keep writing. And if you don't want to look at it, change the font to white, because then you don't have to look at it. Do like something, like anything that's not writing once in a while. Don't just like sit there like this is probably my best like writer's block, because I don't really like believe in like actual writer's block as a thing, but I think it's really easy to kind of get that sort of stalled feeling in your head, and I think it's a good idea to just go out and do something else and shake your brain up a little bit so the ideas can move around. Like do yoga or go to a museum or like read something or like do something else. I think that thing about getting ideas in the shower is so true. I don't know if it's a white noise thing or something, but I really do like just doing something else. I'm also a painter, and I find I get ideas for writing while I'm painting, or I get ideas for painting while I'm writing. So just having that other activity to kind of switch back and forth rather than just focusing so much that you like drive yourself crazy while you're writing, I think is always a good thing. And you know, what other advice? I know there's other really good witty points in that. And how? I was going to say, do you have it? Oh my God, can I really? Oh, my tips. Yay. Oh, yeah, back up. Everything. Flash drives are your friends. I should actually quote this because it's funny. It's because I hear you can store things on clouds now, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. But it sounds whimsical, and I have a fan of whimsy. Take risks. So I think it's important to take risks. And I'm recalling here that Microsoft Word wanted to autocorrect that to take care, and Word does not understand NaNoWriMo. And of course, be when in doubt, just add ninjas. And perhaps my best writing advice in general, let yourself be surprised. Because I think like this whole book was a surprise to me, and like that you find sort of wonderful things if you're not expecting them sometimes. I didn't research, I made things up. Which, as I never really felt like I wanted it to be a true historical novel. It is set sort of late Victorian and early Edwardian, but, and I've always had a fondness for that time period, and I've seen like so many movies and read so many books about like, I just kind of instinctually went on what I thought felt appropriate for that, and then kind of fell back on Magic Circus if I felt I wasn't necessarily being completely accurate, because it is at the end of the day a fantasy and it's fiction, and I felt like I had a little bit of leeway to just kind of do what seemed like it worked. And though I did try to be like as historically accurate as possible when it came to little detail things, I was really disappointed that I couldn't have cotton candy, because it wasn't invented until about like 1914. I was like, oh, that's like a little too late. I can't actually have a character sort of invent caramel popcorn at one point, because the dates, I kept finding dates. I was like, I could probably use it, but I'm not entirely sure. So like, I'll just have someone pour caramel in the popcorn and go with that. But I was really just like, cotton candy would have been so fun, like fluffy white, like clouds of cotton. You know, maybe I'm like, if I felt like, I was like, I thought about it, I was like, someone is gonna look it up and know that I completely like, I was off by like over a decade of cotton candy. But I really, a lot of it is just, it's stuff pulled from my background. Like I have like an interest in tarot cards and astrology and that sort of thing, so I went with things I knew for that. Thankfully was interested, and I had not heard the Harry Potter audios, but I know his voice for two reasons. One, when I was in high school doing all my theater days, I was in a production of Barnum, so I listened to that original cast recording a lot, and I was kind of in love with a show called Pushing Daisies, on which he was the narrator. So I knew he had that wonderful storyteller voice. So and they were like, would that be okay with you? I was like, yeah, that would be okay with me. And I was actually fortunate enough to get to go in and watch a little bit of the recording process when they recorded it, and I thought it was going to be very strange to hear Jim Dale's voice reading things I wrote, and it is very strange. But on one hand, it sounds the way it sounds in my head, and on the other, he elevates it to something with that beautiful voice of his, and he does all the voices. And I realized the Burgess sisters actually sound good with Scottish accents, which I was never entirely sure, so it was great to find that out. And it was fascinating just to talk with him. And he was telling me that he doesn't listen to anything that he's recorded. He never listens to it, partially because they essentially do the whole book in one take. He reads about 3 pages and in one go, and then they'll go back and make any little corrections, like if they didn't catch a word or they want something inflected a little differently, and that's it. Like,
has he received any coaching before the read?
I believe so. The producer does an amazing job, and Jim had his annotated book as well, but David Rankin is the producer, and he had his book, and he talked to me beforehand about like just asking me how to pronounce things and what like my choices were. And at one point he asked me how to pronounce something, and I said, well, I pronounce it like this, but I'm not sure that's correct. And he's like, well, it's fiction. Fiction is like feelings. However you feel it should be pronounced is the way it should be pronounced, which I thought was a lovely sentiment. But he